So today we're going to be talking about World of Warcraft. We're going to decide whether it's actually really that bad at the moment. There's a lot of stuff online at the moment, there's a lot of negative press for it, and to be honest with you, a lot of it is actually deserved. But today we're going to discuss to see if the game in itself is actually as bad as we're led to believe. We're going to discuss the negatives. We're going to discuss the positives. We're going to go through some other things that I don't really know where to put them as a positive or negative. And then we're going to discuss some things that I would actually like to see that I think would improve the quality of the game in itself as it goes forward into the next expansion. So we're going to start with the negatives because I think there's a lot more of them. So there's a whole bunch of negatives, especially from a leveling side of things and an alt side of things. The main game for your main character is actually not too bad. There are some arbitrary systems, there's probably more than some arbitrary systems. But it gets even worse when you want to level an alt. There is a lack of account-wide systems, basically. So your Sanctum upgrade is not alt-wide. It doesn't affect your alt at all. They're all individually managed, which I don't understand. Because if you've leveled and maxed out your Covenant and your Sanctum upgrades with one character, then why does that not travel over to every other character who goes down that Covenant? Like, I don't understand. It makes no sense to me with all the things. I mean, it's a separate character, yeah, but it's still your character, so it shouldn't matter. There's that to it. I think that should be account-wide across alts on the same Covenant. The alts can't also do Sanctum upgrades until they're level 60. I did not realize that until I leveled another one. I thought they'd changed that. So basically, level 50, I go into Shadowlands, and I can't do any Sanctum upgrades whatsoever. Because apparently I haven't chosen a Covenant, even though I'm in Threads of Fate, so I have chosen a Covenant, but it's not letting me do any Covenant upgrades. It doesn't make any sense. And then you've got to go and re-choose your Covenant at 60 again, but you've already chosen your Covenant at 50, so why would you have to re-choose it at 60 again? It makes no sense. It's just little things like this that just seem like they've been hotfixed and never thought out properly. That's fine. It's annoying, and I don't think it should be there. I think Renown should be Covenant specific on alts as well. I think your Renown should be boosted to 80. Why do I have to get it to 40 and then play a catch-up system? The catch-up system is very good. I'm not complaining about how that catch-up system works. I just don't think it should be there in the first place. Again, I think everything should be count-wide for every character in that Covenant. So if I've leveled it up once on my main, I shouldn't have to do it on my alts again. It literally makes no sense. Which this then takes me to all the arbitrary systems they've added into the game. I mean, there is a lot of them. You've got Tower Knowledge, you've got Sanctum upgrades, you've got Renown. In Sanctum of Domination, you had the gems and stuff like that. There is just a lot of them, and as a result, to play an alt becomes arduous. And I like playing alts. I like playing different characters, because then I'm not very good in most of my characters. So I like to jump around between my characters to find out which one I'm actually enjoying playing and which I'm actually not bad at. Not good at it, but I'm definitely not bad at it. It just doesn't make sense. There's loads of them, and I think they should cut that out. I think forcing people to do something is not good. I don't think you should be forced to play something. I think you should want to do it. I mean, Torghast is a perfect example of this. The new Torghast, which you're going to get onto the positives, and I'm going to put it as a positive, is actually fun. Legitimately is one of the most fun things to do in the game at the moment. The boss rush mode is fantastic, but you don't have to do it. There's nothing that you have to do in there that forces you to do it. Like, absolutely nothing. You go in there, you do it because you want to, because it's fun. And it's a really, really good part. If that had been in the beginning of Torghast, or Torghast from the start as an option, no one would have complained about Torghast. But because it was tied specifically to how you upgraded things, you had to do it. And you could only do it twice a week. You couldn't do it as many times as you wanted initially. They've since changed it, which again is a good change, but there was still a whole load of bitter taste left in a lot of people's mouths. It soured the taste. People still call it Chorghast or Borghast because they're remembering the way it used to be, whereas it's actually not too bad now. Another thing is the aggressive monetization of WoW. I mean, there's a lot of it. Now, I know a lot of people don't mind because, you know what, they don't buy it, so they don't really care about it. But there is a lot of things you have to pay for. I think I recently transferred a character from Alliance to Horde. It cost me 27 quid. Why did it cost me 27 quid? I understand there's going to be a certain charge because maybe electricity and power usage in the processing of that, but not 27 quid. It's just, no. Why? It's expensive and it's stupid, but it is what it is. It just seemed to be a random amount picked out of thin air. Goes, yeah, we'll charge 27 quid for that. That sounds good. We'll charge £60 to get a boost. I mean, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. It makes no sense. It doesn't cost that much because it's an automatic process. No one's sitting there actually typing the code to actually get your character changed. Click a button, it sends it off the computer does it and spits it out the other end. And you've got a Horde character instead of an Alliance character. The last thing I want to talk about is the storyline. It's boring, basically. Never skipped so many cutscenes in my life. I used to sit and I used to love watching a good cutscene. seen in WoW. I used to absolutely love it. I used to love the story as it progressed through from patch to patch. No, a lot of people don't care about the lore. No, a lot of people don't care about it. They just want to play a game, and that's fine. I enjoyed the lore. I used to spend hours watching videos on YouTube about the lore, about different things. But this patch, it's literally not very good. I just hope they will increase the quality of the content. Some of the cutscenes, the quality of the cutscenes in terms of the video and CGI in the cutscenes are excellent. I'm not complaining about that. It's the content of the cutscenes, what's in them, what they're talking about. It's just crap these guys write for this game at the moment, because it's not very good. Maybe it's the hand they're dealt with, and maybe that's me being overly much of an ass, but it is what it is. I don't like it. I think it's boring. We'll go into some positives. There's not many of these positives, but I think they're actually good positives. We've got, like I said before, the new Torghast boss rush mode. It's exceptionally fun. It's like enjoyable. I actually had a blast, and I wanted to go back in and do it again. Like actually wanted to go in and do it. Before, if that had been the state of it when it was initially released, they would never have got anywhere near as much flack as they did for it. Another positive is there's been a whole lot of quality of life updates as well, with 9.1.5 and 9.2. Currency can be passed to alts, count-wide second legendary. If your main reach is revered in Zereth Mortis, then buy that for your alts and send it to them to upgrade a legendary to 291. These are all very good things, and I have no qualms about it. That's all very good. But if you can pass currency to alts, why can't your currency just be account-wide anyway? Or at least covenant specific. So if you're buying anima and it's stored in a reservoir for the Kyrians, why can't another Kyrian alt access that anima in the reservoir as well? It's like they've done a half-baked idea and they've gone, yeah, that'll suffice them. And you know what? It's good. It is good. But to me, that's an initial stepping stone. The next expansion, they should be looking to make a lot of this stuff account-wide. Yeah, that's literally my positives, those two things. I think that's the positives of the game. And the next ones are things that I think are positive, but a lot of people have mixed emotions about it. Raids, this expansion. Are they getting harder and harder? They are getting harder. I mean, some of the bosses, this thing, I've got so many one-shot mechanics. It's one mistake, you're done. We were on Rygalon Heroic last night, and while the fight itself is probably not the most complex fight in the world, it's actually quite simple. But one mistake and the whole raid wipes. Literally, there's like 2 or 3 mechanics that you really have to watch out for, and if you don't, you wipe your whole raid. It's a very simple fight in terms of what you have to do, but you can't have a lapse in concentration at all. And the good old adage is just get good, and that is got a lot to do with it. It's just about focus. But should normal and heroic fights be that tightly tuned in that one little mistake from one person wipes the whole raid? I don't know. The raids have got progressively harder and harder, although I do think Sanctum of Domination was actually easier than Castle Nathria. Weirdly enough, we struggled less on that than we did on Castle Nathria. No idea why. Probably because I wasn't playing a monk and I didn't cheat torpedo off the edges. Yeah, that happened. Is what it is. Are they getting harder though? That's my personal opinion. I think they are. I think that they rely too heavily on people to use add-ons to get past bosses. I don't mind the likes of DBM where it tells you upcoming mechanics. I think they're okay. But then when a fight requires the use of a weak aura to actually do the fight, I don't know if that's just going a step too far. And I would say it does require it. You can do it without it, but it's like exponentially harder. Why would you? When you're in Lords of Dread, you have to find the 2 people that the Lords are disguised as. A weak aura makes it so much simpler. Rather than 20 people shouting over Discord about who they think the person is and then you having to try and work it out, you click on the person, you click on a vote button, it puts a number above their head. It's so much simpler. Should a raid have that almost requirement that you need to do that? No, I don't think it should. I think the fights are getting harder because they're in an arms race against add-on makers. And I watched the Race to World First this year, and they were making weak auras as they were going through bosses to actually tell them what to do and where to go, because the mythic fights this tier were loads harder. I mean, it lasted 3 weeks. The fights were that tightly tuned that it lasted over 3 weeks. On that level, I mean, I don't mind mythic being that hard because I have no plans to go into mythic. I am happily a normal heroic raider with my guild. I'm happy doing that. I get boosted by them a lot of the time. I'm fine with this. I don't think heroic is too hard yet, but if it carries on the way it's going, it's going to get to that point where it is going to be too hard. I don't have enough time to pump into the game. I am a casual Andy. I am happy being a casual Andy. I have a family. I have a job. I don't have time to spend 6 to 8 hours, sometimes a day like I used to, on a game. And I don't really have the desire to do that anymore. I have other things I need to do that are more of a priority. So if they keep making game harder and harder in terms of endgame content, point, it's going to come a point where I'm just going to be like, no, nope, I'm not going to be that much of a burden for my team that they're needing to boost me. I mean, they have to boost me at the moment anyway, but it's not that big an issue. And I don't want to get to that point. I personally, whilst I enjoy the raids, and I think the raids are really fun, they're probably the most fun part of the game, you're not going to see much past normal if you're an average player that only has an average amount of time to play the game. It's just awkward to do it. So that's my 2 cents worth on raids. Asmongold, some of you love him, some of you hate him. He thinks they're too hard. I do sort of agree with him that the raids are too hard, or getting harder, should we say. I do think the raids are getting harder. They're not too hard at the moment. Probably by the end of the next expansion, if it carries on this ramp that we've got at the moment. I probably think they should maybe disable all add-ons. Like when you go into raid, it should automatically disable anything that's not an interface add-on. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but when you can click on something and then click on vote and it puts a number on it, it's probably too much at that point. So, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents worth anyway on that. You can let me know whether you agree with me or not in the comments section below. It would be interesting to see whether people think they're too hard or not, or whether I should just get good. I probably should get more good, because I'm not very good. Anyway. Things that I would like to see in the game though. What would I like to see? Personally, I would like to see permanent time walking. For all expansions, all raids, all dungeons. I think that would be an exceptionally good thing. I know they've started to do that with the Mage Tower being a permanent thing now. I actually need to go do that, because I actually forgot that it was getting made permanent. But I think doing all the past dungeons, I mean, I would like to do raids at the prescribed level that I did when I was that level there before. Throne of Thunder, ICC, Ulduar. I missed most of the raids in Warlords of Draenor because I ended up quitting for a while through that, so that was a boring ass expansion that was. It was not a good one. So I would like to see that. I would also like to see maybe all classes on one character, similar to the likes of Final Fantasy. I don't know whether I want to see that, because I do enjoy leveling an alt, but I don't want to have to level an alt and then have to level everything else that requires you to play the game as well on top of that. I've already done that once. I shouldn't have to do it again, and I know people will complain about that and will disagree with me on that, and that's fine, but I don't see why you have to do it for a second time on a second character when you've already done it once on your main character. It just seems like it's arbitrary, put in there just as like a time sink to tie you into playing the game for longer. That's the way I feel about it. I don't know. Like I said, if the only thing I had to do was level and then I reap the benefits of my main, then that's okay, because I like to actually learn the class while leveling, and I find leveling quite calming. It's pretty chill stuff. It's not difficult to do. Can do it. You can start and stop as you go over a couple of days. It doesn't take long. But I can't really be bothered leveling just to then have to level all the mandatory content and systems that go with having to raid and play the game. I don't want to do that. To me, that's not fun. That becomes a chore, which then makes it not fun. And there's literally no reason that I can see, and again, if I'm wrong, let me know why you think I'm wrong. Why things like rep and systems like that are not account wide. There is no reason they shouldn't be account wide. If I choose to do that on my main, I shouldn't have to do it again on another character just to be able to play the game. Yeah, that's my tuppence worth on the state of WoW at the moment. I personally don't think it's that bad, but I also don't think it's that good either. It's a very mixed bag. There's a lot of negatives that I've listed, but there is some good positives. They've done some good things, but time will tell whether that's actually going to carry forward, whether they'll actually take that and improve upon that. They do this at the end of every expansion. They give the players what they want in terms of quality of life updates, with things being able to transfer to alts and stuff like that, but why not put that in from the start? And I'm hoping in 10.0 they will. Like, they'll put it in from the start that you can pass these things over to an alt if you wish. I don't really see why that is a problem, unless it literally is just about tying people in to play the game for engagement metrics, at which point you care more about engagement than you care about fun, and it's a game. The only reason I carry on playing the game, to be honest with you, is because I enjoy playing it with the people I played with. I've played with some of these people for 15 years. They've put up with me for 15 years. They've tried to get rid of me for 15 years, but I'm like a boomerang. I just keep coming back. We'll see how it goes. And that's just my thoughts, and it's probably a very long video, but I don't really care. Don't like to make videos just for the specific length. I like to make a video to make sure I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Remember, I'm just John P. Now, well, you never did see me. Toodles!